Thanks, Ron. So I'm going to cover, how financial services is evolving, how financial services are using AI, and how Microsoft is helping in the field. Okay. So the financial services landscape is changing. Some of the major driving factors, like you see some of the stats here, they are from the recent research done by, Capgemini and other consulting services and research organizations. Most customers, they prefer self-service. They want a frictionless experience, right? There are, most of the new workforce, they are Gen Y and Gen Z, and they are already used to technology. So they, expect intelligent services within their workforce. uh, Especially within insurance, business models are changing, and the most CIOs believe digital strategy is the way to go. Right, from banks, the fin crime, and cyber crime. That's where a majority of transformation and AI investment is happening now. Uh, Most CIOs, they want regulations to be implemented, in as little as, like 5 years at most, but they want it implemented within a year, right? In terms of, and still, like some of the large banks, they are still kind of carrying over the legacy, and modernizing those legacy systems has become a high priority because the new fintech companies, there are new companies emerging where they are not banks per se, they are fintech companies who are overlay on top of uh, a traditional bank, and they are offering services that are really giving the traditional banks a run for money. And now even the traditional large banks are trying to catch up to that, and that's what's pushing this need for modernizing legacy systems. So Microsoft has a what we call Microsoft Cloud for Financial Services, which is a SaaS offering. Under the hood, those SaaS offering is provided by a set of PaaS services. So you could use the SaaS offering, or you could use the under the hood cloud services that it uses to customize the service offering for you. And there are three broad categories of these services. The first is the fin crime, then differentiated customer service, and then there is modernizing the core banking, which is payment, banking, and insurance. Okay. Microsoft is, of course, no new to AI. There are 8 global research centers, over 1,000 researchers employed worldwide. There are, over 20,000 AI-related patents. Over 1,000 research papers have been published, and many of our AI services were first to get human parity. These are services like vision, speech, and language. Right? And that's also no surprise that 85% of Fortune 100 companies prefer to work on Microsoft AI technology. There are, over 90 compliance certifications that our AI services have already obtained. So, like I said, the three main pillars of AI services in financial services is the is the fin crime and differentiated customer service, customer experience, and modernizing the payment and core banking. Right? So let's now double click into fin crime. So within fin crime, there are two broad categories. There is fraud prevention and there is risk assessment. Within fraud prevention, the AI transformation is about detecting fraud patterns for like banking transaction, like credit card transaction, and using knowledge-based search to proactively prevent these fraud. And the solution that is getting implemented, or what Microsoft is proposing, is building risk-based models and having AI based anomaly detector that can be combined to do an exploratory analysis, and a lot of these, with known patterns, could be automated, and the actions that are frequently taken, those can be automated, and it also leaves an opportunity for somebody to manually intervene and take action, or go back and review previous actions about why something was detected as fraud. The outcome is that there are millions of credit card transactions scanned for fraud in real time, and there are preemptive fraud detection measures that are being taken. So this is a typical architecture. Now I used to have a more detailed technical architecture, but the technology is evolving with now the Gen AI technology in picture. You could take advantage of Gen AI in most of these places, but the core of the architecture is that you have this predictive risk model that are so your transactions flow through these two models. One detects the anomaly, that is this out of your regular pattern. The other one does a risk scoring of how risky is this transaction, and that all gets fed into a knowledge mining, and a visual dashboard is created, out of which some of the things can be automated to be taken action in an automatic way. Others can be left for manual investigation. So in risk assessment side, the majority of transformation is all about document analysis. So these are, somebody submitted a written application, or there is a new contract being signed with the vendor, or a new proposal is being made on a new financial portfolio. Right? These documents need to be scanned in real time to detect things like compliance violations, or any type of regulatory violations, or any kind of banking policy violation. Right? The solution that's proposed here is like our document AI intelligence is one of the core offering here, that can extract information out of documents in real time, and scan it against existing banking policies and regulatory requirements, to provide signals on where is a document might contain a risky statement that might lead to any compliance violation, right? And the outcome is it leads to faster compliance implementation, reduced cost, less error. Right? Now, let's double click into that differentiated customer experience. There are three broad categories in differentiated customer experience. There is the intelligent contact center. The call center is where majority of customer service is happening. So that's where AI can make it more intelligent. Then there is personalized marketing offer and intelligent conversational agent. Okay. So if we look into the intelligent contact center, the AI transformation that's happening is more self-service. So the customer service is open 24 by 7, 365 days a year. But of course, you cannot always have people present. But having that self-service support gives people a way to serve themselves, regardless of an agent is present or not. And with the high volume of calls that most financial services get, having at least part of it done by a self-service AI leaves less load for human support agents in the call center. The solution that's being proposed here is a natural language interface with the Gen AI. You now have chatbots that mimic pure human conversation, so it can understand something said in a human language, both speech as well as text, and it can give answer in a very human way that people can't even tell whether they're talking to AI or a real support agent. And the outcome is that there is more self-service, there is more immediate follow-up, so customers feel like they are getting the best customer service.
Hey,
Now,
Arun.
yeah,
Arun, one of our key attendees, Donald, who's the CTO at a major financial institution, had a question about the real-time analysis and tracking of this. Donald, could you ask your question directly if you don't mind?
Yeah, I know that is there the risk modeling that you went over, and maybe the risk is the solution actually in place for real-time monitoring? I think I may have misheard you.
yes, yes,
It
yes.
is.
So we have a product offering within our Dynamics suite of application called fraud prevention, right? So the Dynamics product includes that fraud prevention. I think the name keeps changing, but that there is a fraud risk assessment part of within Dynamics, which is also part of the Microsoft Cloud for Financial Services. So that already has that intelligence built in, right? But that under the hood uses our, Synapse and now Microsoft Fabric
Uh-huh.
as compute, and some of those risk models, they run on those compute, right? So you can take the Dynamics fraud prevention as a package and just implement those models out of the box, or you could get started on something like Microsoft Fabric and use a combination of the models that are created by the Dynamics fraud prevention, as well as you can bring in your own custom models.
So that brings up another question. Going back to you were showing the solution for credit to prevent credit card fraud, right?
Right.
Is that based on your own data, your own model, your own data
Yeah.
lake?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So has there been conversation around building this AI solution around the real-time payments network and FedNow transactions? And if you're not
Uh,
familiar with those, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm not familiar with FedNow transaction, but I can tell you that we are working with many fintech companies
Mhm.
who are in the process of implementing just what I said. They are using our Dynamics fraud prevention models. On top of that, they themselves have their own custom models, and they have some data that we don't have access to. Our fraud prevention models primarily were built on the data that our Xbox and e-commerce team, so it came out of our e-commerce suite, right? So it was primarily built to support our online purchases on the Xbox and the Microsoft Store purchases, right? So it was built for that. So it was built for detecting those online transaction frauds and evaluating different merchants and things like that. But those merchant solutions, the fintech companies are taking those models, and then they have some proprietary data because they also do payment processing. So they have some payment processing data and different bank data, because those fintech companies, they provide core banking services to other banks. So through that, they have access to some proprietary data that they believe, using that data, they can build more custom models, which can be further value add on top of the models that we have. And so they're combining those models to build that fraud prevention services that they would eventually sell to banks, that they believe is even more value add compared to what we have.
Hey, Arun and
Yeah.
Donald. Donald, I'm going to send you a note. Hopefully, that gave you some confidence. But if you could follow up in an email, I'm just sending you now with a little more detail on your FedNow compliance issues. We're going to try and make sure we answer every question completely live, but especially in this case where there might be a specific issue. Arun knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything. I
Yeah.
will make sure that we get the appropriate follow-up answer from some of the true hardcore subject matter experts,
Yeah.
if that's okay,
Yeah.
Donald?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
May I ask one more question? And it's actually
Absolutely.
on
I
this.
love to keep this as interactive as possible. And we've got a nice flexible agenda today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Here on this slide that you're showing here, I was listening to you talk about the interactive chatbot. Uh, my question is, does this also utilize, I mean, I guess you're using your own language model here, your own large
Yes,
language model also.
yes, yes.
So how do you prevent hallucinations from happening when a customer's on the phone?
Yeah, so I was doing a talk, yesterday on Angelbeat on LLM ops. So there are several ways to eliminate, hallucination. One of the measures we use is AI based metrics, where we use one LLM to evaluate the output of another LLM. Right. So that's one of the ways to avoid hallucination. And on top of that, there are certain prompt engineering techniques that, if you reach a certain situation, don't guess, use this or pass it to a live agent, things like that. So it's a combination of those AI driven metrics. On top of that, the prompt engineering, those are our two key tools to combat hallucination. But there is no like 100% foolproof way to get around it, but that's what will get you to your best result.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a kind of logical architecture of intelligent contact center. So your calls might come from traditional telephones, or somebody might directly interact with a bot via text or speech. uh, so if it's a normal telephone call, you have an IVR that would kind of do that speech to text in real time, and that text might get fed into an LLM to get the output, or the text might come directly. In either case, it goes back to that central intelligence, which might be a combination of LLM plus a RAG, right? And that is what's going to give the answer. And while it's doing that, you would have a monitoring loop. So you are kind of capturing the history of conversation, and you are capturing the response that was given and the reaction to that. And all of that can be fed into a metric or a dashboard that can be reviewed over time. And that's how you're kind of going to iteratively improve your quality of service. Uh, Next, in differentiated customer experience is personalized marketing offer. Uh, these are examples of like customers getting a customized offer, like a credit card offer, or a loan offer. It could be anything. So where AI is making a change here, is increasing the relevance. It's really taking personalization to the next level. So AI can analyze different segment of customers and really tailor a custom offer or an ad, or it could be a landing page to your prospect or lead, who you have already collected data based on your website, visiting your website or filling out a form. So you already know something about them, and AI can generate a very personalized offer for that lead, which can lead to increased conversion of your marketing to actual sale, right? The solution that's offered here is AI-based recommendation engine, which can create those custom offer letters or landing pages or ads. Right? And the outcome that's generated is, like I said, it's increased conversion rate from marketing to sales. Typical architecture here, you have raw data. You can collect information about your customers from how they interact within your banking system, their social media, and it all can be fed into a recommendation engine that can create those custom offers with special promo code. In intelligent conversational agent, the real value add is, with Gen AI, it's getting very customized that customers can really say at what situation they are in, and they can describe that in a chat or in voice, and then ask a question, and the response is going to be very specific to that scenario instead of giving a generic message. So it's getting very customized to that situation specific ask. And on top of that, the Gen AI is allowing people to talk like a normal human, and it's able to understand that and respond also in a very human-like manner. And the outcome that's driven from here is, it's fast service, is helpful, and it's very relevant. The architecture that you typically see here is, customer interacts with a bot, even if they do it over the phone, that gets converted from speech to text, and it would go into your chat bot, which might be using LLM or RAG pattern, and it would be interfacing with your data, which might be structured, unstructured. So it would access all your knowledge-based data in real time to provide a very customized, very situation-aware response. Now, coming to the core banking, modernizing payment and insurance, there are two parts to it. There is process automation, and then there is document intelligence. On process automation side, the AI transformation is happening to kind of reduce the reliance on RPA. So your RPA is kind of your catch-all scenario for AI, right? So if you cannot, use AI like the way the large language models work, RPA is your next best thing, where because with RPA, you could really have an automatic process that the computer would just work by itself. It can open a website, it can click a button, right? It can do all that, but uh, RPA has its limitation. There are physical, technical limitations that sometimes it might not have access to a specific website. While it's doing, it might get stuck on something, the screen might freeze, right? So RPA is not that reliable. The ideal would be to uh, you know uh, create a knowledge mining. So the large language models are now smart enough that whatever information that you have, large language models can now be fine-tuned to that data. You can use RAG pattern to really understand the data, and from that you can have plugins and different ways to create a workflow that can automate it without less friction. But of course, you always have RPA as a backup, where you have some type of media. Maybe you do need to log into a website to get the information. In that case, you do need RPA. Right? So the typical structure here is, you have a document, you might use document intelligence to extract key value pair, which would build your knowledge base. And from that knowledge base, you can, get your answer. Or if at all, there is some part of it where you need to log into a system or access a different system to get the answer. In that case, it can be augmented with RPA. So the RPA would log into those specific system to retrieve the information, and then combine that with your document intelligence output to generate your knowledge base. With document intelligence, the typical use cases are around those, financial portfolios being created, or any large deal being made where there is a large document being generated as a contract, right? So the document intelligence can scan those documents and create actionable item. It can create summary saying, a vendor sent you a contract saying we'll do this, and these are our terms and condition. A document intelligence can extract key phrases out of it and list out the actionable items that this is what it's saying, and these are risk factors that are flagged that you should review. So instead of reading the whole document, you really pay attention to those things. That kind of makes uh, reviewing these contracts a lot faster, so you have less chances of missing things that might be risky. The typical architecture here is, you have your financial documents and transcripts that go through document intelligence, where the summary and key value pair can be extracted, and then if you know a real pattern of what means what, then you can combine that to automate the process of flagging documents and creating action, or you can always leave room for a financial specialist to look into the entire flow and look into the dashboard to take action manually. Of course, as you use AI, responsible AI needs to be implemented. So AI needs to have these six pillars of responsible AI principle. They are fairness, transparency, accountability, reliability, privacy, security, and inclusion. Right. So the names are pretty obvious what they mean. So all of the tools that are available in Azure, they implement all these main pillars of responsible AI out of the box, and there are tools available that you can use to ensure all of these criterias are met in a way that you would like them to be. You can create your own testing scenarios on top of it, but the tools help you do most of the work by itself. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. Uh, if you have questions, just send me an email, and I would be happy to get on a call with you and discuss further details. There might be an account team within Microsoft that's working with you. I can be the person to make that connection. So drop me a message, and I would love to work with you.